Dueling rallies, and Hillary Clinton and hers just hitting Donald Trump's push to ban Muslims, calling it, quote, reckless, to Libertarian presidential nominee Gary Johnson on the debate over open borders. Where do Libertarians stand on this?
Well, I think we should make it as easy as possible for somebody that wants to come into this country and work to be able to get a work visa. And a work visa should entail a background check and a Social Security card so that taxes get paid.
Well, when you say Social Security, I mean, if I'm illegal, how do I have a Social Security card? In other words, well, I'm coming up through, I'm in Nicaragua. I want to come to this country. You're saying make it easier for these people who want to come here and want to do good.
Exactly. Make it as easy as possible to get a work visa. And like I say, that work visa needs to entail a background check because we don't want criminals in this country. And that would be a Social Security card also so that applicable taxes would get paid. Right.
People coming in from Syria, Iraq, certain war-torn areas, there's no background check. There's no place to go. I mean, if you lived in Aleppo, you know, and there even was ever an office that had records, it's gone now. It's rubble. What do we do with those people who want to come into this country?
I think we bear a responsibility to bring our share of those refugees.
But how do we feel comfortable with our share?
Well, I think there's some that would pass go, and I'm believing that our bureaucracy, when it comes to immigrants, when it comes to refugees, that they're pretty good about this. Some are going to get a pass go, and others are going to, you know, there's going to be some monitoring that's going to go on. But I do think we bear a responsibility for taking our share. And I don't know what that number is, Charles, but I would imagine in a very short amount of time we could determine what that number was.
Why is that our responsibility? Why do we have that responsibility? I mean, isn't that... You're saying that it's to a degree a right for the immigrant, or is it?
Well, in the case of refugees, Syria, I mean, 11 million, half the population's been displaced. 11 million people. Don't we bear some responsibility in taking our share?
I don't think that we do. Although I will tell you, as a you know, Judeo-Christian nation, we pride ourselves on stepping up to the plate, and we have, whether it's trillions of dollars or the lost lives of countless young men and women throughout the decades. But I'm not sure that it's our obligation.
Well, I do think it's a responsibility that we have. I mean, I do think we bear responsibility in the Middle East for the disruptions that have happened. And now we can talk about the fact that our military actions, I think, have resulted in the unintended consequence of making things less safe, not more safe. And libertarians are not isolationists. Let's draw a difference between isolationism and non-intervention with regard to...
Non-intervention to period. There are no exceptions?
Well, of course, always.
To get 11 million displaced, maybe some intervention in the first place might have stopped this from ever becoming an issue.
Or that the intervention, well, that's always the argument, but regardless, I think that our interventions have resulted in an unintended consequence, and that's to make things worse, not better. And that would be boots on the ground, that would be dropping bombs, that would be flying drones that are killing thousands of innocent people.
Yeah, I do know that no matter how strongly you feel about that, you don't want the average American citizen have to worry about Syrians being brought into this country who cannot be completely vetted because the tools and the information just aren't accessible, and we're sort of doing it out of compassion, but perhaps putting even more people, our own people, at risk.
Well, first of all, ISIS is, you know, they are very regional. So this shooting in Orlando, the fact that we would at all connect dots with the shooter, Martin, with ISIS, I mean, that's a recruiting tool for ISIS.
Although he called 911, pledged his allegiance to ISIS, was always infatuated with them.
Well, and that's a tool that ISIS has put out there, but that's not, you know, there's no link whatsoever. And to give it a link is really a recruiting tool, like I say, for ISIS. Yeah. Al-Qaeda, there were 200 Al-Qaeda members after 9/11. Now there are 40,000 members of ISIS. Well, why is that happening?
Because ISIS ISIS has taken the fight to America, and they're saying in this whole caliphate.
Well, but they haven't. It's really regionalized. It is regionalized. Now they reach out. They say, hey, declare your actions in the name of ISIS. Well, that's a way of getting anybody, in this case, you know, a despicable human being.
I do want to say that you are creeping up strongly in the polls. I think it's going to be hard to continue to ignore you. And the Twitter feed has been like, people like some of your core positions. They worry about the Libertarians on the internet, on the foreign policy,
well,
and
there's
things like legal drugs.
Well, sure. Well, and there's a bad rap, like I say, not isolationist. We're non-interventionist. Look,
right.
free trade, engage, diplomacy.
Congratulations. You're doing so far much better than I think anyone thought you would, and you may surprise a few people.
Well,
I appreciate
Charles, always great
in.
being on. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.